Hey everyone, what is going on? So we have more battles that I did in the Open Ultra League, and yeah, I was watching Battle Bill, and this was the team he was using, and he was doing really well with it. I've seen him use it in the past, and I've actually used it in the past as well, and I've always had success with this team, so I'm excited to try it out again. And yeah, I mean, I did well in these battles. The team is going to be Glorian, Stunfisk, Trevenant, and Tapu Fini. I think this is a great team. Obviously, the lead is not going to appreciate fighting types, but both Pokemon in the back generally do well against fighting, right? So yeah, I mean, a really good team. It works really well. And let's go ahead and dive right into the battles and see how I did. So I went for the Rock Slide. My opponent made a good catch, but I can go ahead and bring in my Trevenant. I could have thrown Shadow Ball and tried to win CMP, but I really didn't want to risk it. So I just shield this and I continue to overfarm. And yeah, I'm not going to go for the farm down because they would have made it to a Seed Bomb. My opponent wouldn't have made it to a Shadow Ball, but I do go ahead and throw the Seed Bomb just to KO that Trevenant. And now if the Dragon Knight comes in, I can go ahead and get to a Shadow Ball. I'm actually already at the Shadow Ball, so I do go ahead and throw it, which is really good for me. This is actually going to pick up the shield very nice indeed. And I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make another one. I'm trying so hard, but I barely make it. Those IVs coming in clutch, rank 50 Trevenant, and that Shadow Ball will be enough to KO. Wolverine is coming in. This is looking really good for me. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Stunfisk. My opponent does a good job at counting. They throw in CMP, but I'm going to go ahead and shield this and get off a Rock Slide. And then I'm going to switch into my Tapu Fini. So a lot of times when you see a Dragonite in the lead, from my experience, there's at least one Steel type in the back, sometimes two. I have seen Dragonite double Steel, but in this case my opponent did not have any Steel types in the back. I easily take an Earthquake, so no problem. I'm going to go ahead and just take that and get to a Moonblast, which will be enough to KO the Wolverine, and that is going to be a great game. Very well played to my opponent. How you doing, Shadow? You want to see... So I'm watching this cutie for somebody I work with, and you know, he's away for the week, so I'm watching. His name is Shadow. He's really nervous, but he's so cute. He's so affectionate. I love Shadow. You want to go down? Okay, you can go down, my friend. But he's just chilling with me for the week, and we're having a good time. But either way, guaranteed a matchup good for me because it's Dragon Breath, so I do resist the Dragon Breath. I resist all the charge moves, besides Shadow, Sneak, and Shadow Force, but my opponent doesn't have it. They have Ancient Power, which is really nice. Okay, just going to go ahead and let all these attacks go through, charge up to max energy, and throw the Earthquake. And yeah, it's looking really good for me. I do go ahead and throw the Earthquake. Now, my opponent will live it, but that's totally fine. That's actually really good because I can go ahead and farm down. Not before my opponent gets to another attack, but I think it's worth the trade-off. I get more energy. I'll take this Dragon Claw totally fine, and I can go ahead and farm down, and we'll see what decides to come in. It's going to be a Kabali, and I do go ahead and go for the Earthquake. I could have baited here, but I just went for the Earthquake. My opponent does shield it, and I go ahead and bring in the Fini right now. So, hoping my opponent maybe would switch out. My opponent is not switching out. Obviously, the Trevenant for later would be nice, but my opponent is staying put, so that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and... yeah, throw just before they can get to another Stone Edge, and I do go ahead and throw this attack right now, and that will do a lot of damage. My opponent will go ahead and go for an attack. I do shield it just in case there's like a Charizard in the back, whereas I might want my Fini, and I'm going to go ahead and continue to farm up, but I do throw this just before they get to another Stone Edge as well, just to KO it. And it actually is a Charizard, so it's good I kept my Fini alive. That's why my opponent didn't switch out. So Charizard is coming in. I do go ahead and throw the Surf, 100% expecting my opponent to shield. So I'm going to throw the Surf and then switch out immediately into Stunfisk, but my opponent actually does not even shield that. So I'm just going to go ahead and farm down with my Stunfisk. And that is going to be a great game. Very well played to my opponent. Sure, let's go ahead and move into the next battle. Pidgeot, you love to see it. Great lead for the Galarian Stunfisk. To switch out into Fini, I'm going to go ahead and go into my Trevenant. I do follow. Now, I should have thrown before my opponent got to a Moonblast, and that's because they could debuff me, so I'd rather do as much damage as possible, right? So that's okay, though. I'm going to go ahead and charge up to max energy, throw the Seed Bomb right now, and this Seed Bomb will do a lot of damage. I'm going to go ahead and throw another one. This is going to be enough to KO. The Pidgeot can come in and farm me down, but that's totally fine because I'm already low. My opponent just lets it go. If they shielded that, they would have had to shield another one because I would have made it to another Seed Bomb. They could have won switch, I guess, if they double shielded, but probably not worth it. So I do go ahead and get off that Seed Bomb totally fine, and I bring in my Stun Fisk right now. My opponent makes an attempted catch. Luckily for me, I don't allow it to happen. So I bring in my Feeny against this Kabalion. I'm just going to go ahead and throw Surfs. I didn't even charge up for the Moonblast. I'm just going to go ahead and throw the Surf attacks. My opponent does go ahead and shield it. That's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and I think I commit both shields. I think it's definitely worth it, right? Because, yeah, I just want to go ahead and shield this Kabalion's attacks. Stunfisk doesn't really need shields against Pidgeot, so I'm going to go ahead and just commit shields right now. My opponent will go ahead and get off an attack, and I do go ahead and shield this one. And it's going to be another Stone Edge. That is a good shield by me. Can I make it to another Surf? Not before my opponent makes it to a Stone Edge. So the Stone Edge is going to come out. It does get me low. I knew they were going to go ahead and try and pull the switch. I was watching it, but a little bit too fast for me. So that's okay, though, because I can go ahead and bring in my Stunfisk and throw this attack right now. Now, my opponent is double debuffed, so this is going to be enough to KO, as it does. Totally fine. So out comes the Kabalion. So I do charge up enough for 2 attacks. And this is double resisted. My opponent actually calls this, which is a nice call. But luckily for me, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because they can't make it to 2 Sacred Swords, and I could just Mud Shot down. And that is going to be a great game. Very well played to my opponent. Yeah, really well done. So let's go ahead and move into the next battle. Okay, oh, it's a Kabalion in the lead. Definitely rough, but as I said, I do have 2 answers in the back, 2 fighting types. So I do bring in my Feeny. Out comes Nidoqueen. Very interesting. Haven't seen Nidoqueen in quite a while, right? At least not super common like it used to be before it was nerfed. I do get off the Surf. My opponent is going to go ahead and shield that. Now, I do go ahead and let this attack go through. It's going to be a Poison Fang, of course. I'm hoping I can make it to another Surf. And spoiler warning, I do actually make it to another Surf, which is really good. The problem is this doesn't KO. I really needed this to KO. My opponent lives on 1 HP. That is really unfortunate. Now, I know this is not an Earth Power, so I'm going to go ahead and let it go. But it's still unfortunate because the Kabalion can come in. I didn't wait out my switch time either, which was a mistake. But the good thing about that is I get to catch on the Trevenant, which is really nice for me. So I do catch the Sacred Sword. And out comes Mandibuzz, which is really bad. So, ouch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stay in this. It's not over yet. I do have a shield advantage. Obviously, Kabalion will go down to an Earthquake. So I'm going to stay in. Maybe I can get off an Earthquake against the Kabalion. Mandibuzz is going to go ahead and throw a Dark Pulse. I just let it go. My opponent is going to go ahead and go for the Farm Down, but not before I get off another Shadow Ball, so I'll just take the damage. I'll take this Shadow Ball. Very nice indeed. So down I go. Totally fine. I do bring in the Stunfisk. Now, a Rock Slide doesn't KO from this range. I was hoping it would as I was battling, but it actually doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and take this attack right now with my Galarian Stunfisk. Totally fine. And I charge up to max energy, and I do go ahead and go for the Rock Slide. And this is where I find out it will not be enough to KO. I was hoping it would, as I said, but it doesn't. So I do have to shield this. I would love to Mud Shot down, but I can't Mud Shot down. It's a flyer. So I'm going to go ahead and charge up max energy, over max energy, right? Going to go ahead and go for this attack right now. This is going to be enough to KO. Now, out comes the Kabalion. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the bait, expecting my opponent to shield this. They do not shield. Imagine if I went for Earthquake. Now, would Earthquake have been enough to KO from that range? I think it would have been. Nice call by my opponent. Could have went either way. If I went for the Earthquake and my opponent shielded that, obviously that would have been bad for me. It was a 50-50. I think Earthquake would have been enough, but it was a good game. Well played to my opponent. Okay, moving on to the next game. I do see a Trevenant in the lead, which is kind of rough, so I'm going to stay in here. It's not the worst matchup in the world, right? I mean, the Rock Slides are neutral. 3 Rock Slides will be enough to KO, so it's not terrible. And I do shield the Shadow Ball, which is really good. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this attack into the Trevenant. My opponent is going to go ahead and shield it. I think I shield this. I think I double shield. I do double shield, so I'm going to go ahead and commit this shield right now. Going to be another Shadow Ball, that's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this attack right now. This Rock Slide into the Trevenant. My opponent actually double shields as well. So I definitely lose this matchup, but not before I can get off another Rock Slide. A Shadow Ball will not be enough to KO me. And obviously it's going to be the Shadow Ball, right? So what I have to do is I have to throw this Rock Slide and then pivot out into my Trevenant to try and get the snipe down. I'm not going to be able to get it because my opponent will switch out into Drapion. So when the Drapion came in, I was thinking, oh, I hope it's not a Skunk Tank in the back, because that is a common team, right? Trevenant, double Dark Poison with Drapion and Skunk Tank. I have seen that team decent amount of times, right? Decent amount of times. I think King used that team to hit Legend in one season, but I can't remember if he saw it from someone else or if he came up with the team. I'm not really too sure. But either way, I get off the Shadow Ball, and I can't. Thanks to the debuff, I don't make it to the Seed Bomb. So I'm going to bring in my Stunfisk, force them to throw, but this is not looking good. I mean, this is a non-shadow. Usually the non-shadows, from my experience, have Sludge Bomb. So I'm just waiting to see what move the Drapion has, and indeed it is Sludge Bomb. And lo and behold, out comes Shadow Skunk Tank. So I go ahead and forfeit. So this could be a good game, well played to my opponent. Moving on, okay, we have a Party Hat Charizard. Any Charizard is a good Charizard. You love to see it, but it is Dragon Breath. Haven't seen a Dragon Breath Charizard since before they buffed Wing Attack. But Wolverine's coming in. Now, I don't have to switch out because I do have the Feeny, right? And the Feeny is going to do really well against the Dragon Breath Charizard for sure. So I don't really have to switch out of here. I can go ahead and throw another Rock Slide into the Wolverine, and my opponent is going to go ahead and commit the shield there. My opponent is going to go ahead and throw an attack. I think I do shield this one. I do. And it's going to be the Earthquake. So that's a good shield by me. And I do get off the Rock Slide right now. Very nice indeed. So this Rock Slide, I think, gets the second shield. It does indeed get the second shield. Can I make it to another one? I cannot quite make it to another one. I do shield it, and my opponent actually baits me, which is not great for me. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this attack right now into the Wolverine. And this is going to not KO, and I really want to farm this down before I lose Switch. My opponent is getting off an attack. No! But it's an Icicle Spear. Did they not have enough energy? Maybe they didn't have enough energy? I'm not sure, actually, but in comes Swampert. That is really good for me. This is amazing for me now, seeing that there's a Swampert in the back. If I lost Switch there, that would have been really bad. And now we're looking really good, right? Because my opponent can throw an attack, but I got the Trevenant on that Swampert, and I have the Feeny on that Dragon Breath Charizard, which is ultimately what we need. So I do bring it in, and now comes the Charizard, and I do bring in my Feeny. I am double resisting the Dragon Breath damage. Blast Burn, I do single resist it. Great scenario for me. I'm just going to throw Surf right away as soon as I get it. I mean, I survive another Blast Burn, but whatever. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it. And out comes Swampert, and yeah, this is just going to be a GG's. My opponent is going to go ahead and throw an Earthquake, which I do believe does KO. It does, but that's totally fine. I do bring in the Trevenant, and my opponent going to go ahead and concede that, and that is going to be a great game. Very well played to my opponent. Moving on. Galarian Stunfisk into Pidgeot. Yeah, absolutely love to see it. The Dream Lead, one of them, right? Okay, Gabalion coming in. I bring in my Trevenant. Really like this matchup because I do double resist the double kicks, the Sacred Sword. They have to go for Stone Edge. And that's exactly what my opponent is doing. So, totally fine. I am charging up. I am keeping track of the energy. And I do go ahead and throw my Shadow Ball right now into the Gabalion. And that will pick up the shield. Okay, so because my opponent's shielded, I am going to go ahead and match shields. Now, this could be a bait right now. It is not, which is good. It could have been at that point. Because my opponent knows I really, really want to win Switch, right? So I am going to go ahead and charge up, throw in the Shadow Ball before my opponent gets to another Stone Edge. My opponent will go ahead and shield that, and my opponent does get off another attack. So again, it could be a bait, but it's worth the shield. It's not going to be the bait, though. So I can't take another Stone Edge. I'm going to charge up, throw this attack. And this is going to be enough to KO, and Pidgeot can come in and farm me down, but I would say Trevenant did its job. We have the alignment that I want, so I'm going to go ahead and throw the Seed Bomb, and think I could make it to 1 with Seed Bomb. Again, it's resisted, but you know what? The damage is free, right? I might as well take it. Trevenant, as I mentioned, did what it had to do, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that attack, and now is it in Rock Slide range? Well, not after Feather Dance it isn't, certainly not, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this Feather Dance, totally fine, and now comes this Cofagrigus. I basically just need to get the Cofagrigus low so a Rock Slide will KO it, because I don't have to worry about the damage that Pidgeot does to Stunfisk, whereas I don't want them to get off like a Shadow Ball, for example, or a Dark Pulse or anything against my Galarian Stunfisk. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Moonblast right now. That should be in rock slide range after these water gun attacks. My opponent cannot farm me down, so they are going to go ahead and throw an attack. I could, in theory, farm this down with mud shot. I would probably have to take a shadow ball. I think it's just worth throwing this immediately. I could have done it either way, right? Throwing this to KO the Cofagrigus or farming it down would have been fine as well. And my opponent is going to concede. But I just had alignment throughout the battle, and that is going to be a great game. Very well played to all of my opponents. Thank you so much for the battles, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day. If you're wondering why I haven't been streaming much lately, it's because my internet has been wacky. Haven't really been able to do it, unfortunately. But hopefully soon. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day again. Bye.